another success story, which is not drone related. However, more on drones is going to come later. But right now, let's have Tinus Kanters, who will be speaking about the AI supported Stratumsein street.
Okay, let's wait for the presentation for some moments. My background is not disaster management, but doing crowd management and risk assessment on big crowds. So sometimes you could call that a disaster if there are too many people, but the most important is to get you through some things and hiccups that we met during the Living Lab project. Next slide, please. Yes, my name Tinus Kanters. I'm retired for the city of Eindhoven. I worked there for 19 years, something. And before that time, I did my own festivals, big festivals, with more than 100,000 people staying on the old airport of Eindhoven for 4 days, listening to heavy metal and staying in the mud and staying alive. Then I worked for the city of Eindhoven for 12 years on events and event permits, risk analysis, enforcement on events. And then the last 6 years was project manager of the Living Lab Stratumseind. I'm also co-author of one of the 40 of the Dutch book on event safety. You know that England has the Green Guide on event safety. So now there's also a Dutch book. Next slide, please. Yes, on the left, for sale, 3 old-fashioned security cameras with not AI, but human intelligence. Far more the best cameras you can have when being at the pub street. And on the right is the cover of the book about event security. Next slide, please. This is about DITS. I'm still working for DITS, Dutch Institute Technology, Safety and Security. We have a lot of projects in the Netherlands. And if you look at this map, you will see in the south with the blue icon, the Living Lab Stratumseind and the city of Eindhoven. That's where I'm working. We do a lot of things in the Netherlands, but we also are involved in 3 or 4 European projects about safety and security. Next slide, please. This is where it all began. This is my working space for the last 6 years before I was retired. This is a street called the Stratumseind. It's one of the biggest pub streets in the Netherlands, and it's located in the city center, very close to the biggest church. And of course, churches and pubs always work together. You see a picture of the street. It's somewhere half the street. Yeah. It takes about 20,000 young visitors weekly. We have 800 incidents a year registered. Half of them are aggression related. We have on that street, we have 15 pubs, 10 snack bars, 8 restaurants, and nothing else. So it's only snack bars and going out. And the visitors are between 15 and 25 years old, most of them. If you are 30 or 35, you really are an old guy visiting the Stratumseind. Next slide, please. Well, we wanted to bring back the number of aggression facts, so we started to try to influence the behavior of the people, and also to measure if that the influence on the behavior is working. So the Living Lab is an instrument to measure the influence on behavior we create. We create influence by light, using light, all kind of colors, scent, all kind of different scents, designing out crime. I will come back to that, which is also known as nudging. For instance, bringing back live plants and flowers in the street, and cleaning up the fronts of the pubs. It really helped to get people more at ease at the Stratumseind. That's nudging and designing out crime. Living Lab is also a test facility for new sensors, for ways of data harvesting, but also issues around privacy and system architecture. When we started the Living Lab in 2014, we were the first one in Europe to have sensoring outside in the public area, with a lot of people in it, and we came across privacy issues, data ownership, the way of system architecture, but also avoiding vendor lock-ins and have open standards, etc. So it's far more than only censoring and influencing. The whole thing connected to the new thing around data became an issue. So smart sensors, smart interfaces, smart actors or actuators, smart scent, smart lights, smart data, design, gaming. And it's part of the Stratumsein 2.0 and Smart City project of the City of Eindhoven. Next slide, please. Yes, this is me on the Living Lab on the Stratumsein itself, where you can see where the sensor information is coming in. The next slide, please. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. This is a visual of how we can turn the lights. Oh, that's too quick. Turn the lights on the Stratumsein. Of course, we don't make a disco out of it. So there was a 4-year study of the Technical University of Eindhoven on how light changes the behavior of people, and you can have influence on that one. For instance, if you have white light with a lot of UV in it, people start to make the hormone which brings them arousement. And when you put in more orange and red into it, they're gonna start to make the hormone called melatonin that will bring them down. And eventually you need that stuff to get asleep. Next slide, please. Yes, this is a way of a simple way of measuring sound to see if there are any peaks on the sound. We use this one to look at all the events in the city of Eindhoven. So on all places where there are big events, we have a set of sensors, so we remotely can see what the sound on that space is doing. Next. Yeah, so we can see in the morning until 4 o'clock, there's a little bit of noise, and then at 6, a lot of noise starts, and at the end we found out that was the cleanup cars going around. So not the sound of the pubs anymore, but cleanup cars. Next, please. There you can see when the event starts, it has a permit to start at 12 o'clock. Just before that, we can see huge red graphics that are the bells of the Katrina Church. So that's the biggest noise in the city of Eindhoven. And then next please. Then you can see also from remote that the event stopped in time. They have a permit until 11 o'clock. And you can see from remote that. So this isn't artificial intelligence, but we made a system out of this with a little bit of machine learning that it generates automatically in a text message for me or the other people of the city of Eindhoven and the organizer of the event that he is too noisy, yes or no. For instance, 1 minute in 15 minutes that he is over the noise, then he gets a signal. If he has street signals, then automatically a guy from the persistence is going there to give him a big fine. Next slide, please. This is how it looks at the 5 entrances and exits of the Stratumsein. A pole with sensors on it. Most people don't look up. This is 5 meters high. So most visitors of the Stratumsein aren't aware of any sensors over there. Next, please. Yeah, this is people count with Phenotion cameras and software, where you can count how many people are going which way. Next, please. And another way is to look at the density sample. This is on a big event called the Glow Festival, where people are walking around in an open air exhibition. We don't want to have it overcrowded, so on some parts we have a camera automatically counting the amount of people within a square meter and giving the control post a signal when it's coming up, the figure. If it's coming up very slowly, let's say in an hour time, there's no problem. If it's coming up in 10 minutes, then you will know, well, in 10 minutes or 20 minutes from now, I will have a congestion on that spot. Yeah, next one. Yeah, this is a film with AI. You can start a film if you want. Yeah, it takes 3 seconds to start up. But this is about automatically looking if people are fighting, yes or no. So the system looks at the way the fist and the arms are moving, and if they hit someone, yes or no. And that was green, and this is an example where really a person is hit. So it's not detected afterwards, but the AI detected and gives a signal that there is a fight going on that moment. And the system sees a lot more than the people looking at the cameras, because they have to look at 20 cameras at one time, and this system gives a signal which camera has which information. Next slide, please. This is a sound test. You can start the video, yeah. Sorama, also a Dutch company, which can look into the sound without recording the words. They just have the frequency of sound, and so. And this is also a digital twin of the Stratumsein. You can see that what we use to point out where the sensors are. On the red spots, there are the 3 sound sensors. And they look into the sound. So the system now can see if it's breaking glass or gunfires. We don't have gunfires at the Stratumsein. We use balloons to get that effect, to measure it. Breaking glass, but also if the sound is stress related. You see on the right side below 4 people in yellow jerseys yelling and pushing each other, and that's what the camera registers with the red dot. And the other people are walking around talking normally, so even if the 4 fighters disappear in the group, you can still see that they are arguing and fighting over there. And another thing you can see, this is all to help people looking at the Stratumsein, to help to point out where they are. So the next test is about, let's say, football hooligans screaming and yelling and running through the street. We have to wait for a little moment. You also see 2 police horses, and that was for them an exercise in staying calm, for the horses to stay calm. So we integrated the police action and our actions together. Okay, I think there they will come, and you will even see the foot stamping on the ground when the herd is walking by. Here they come, yelling and yelling and yelling. Yeah, you can see them, and then you can see the footsteps, the little red dots on the end. Yes, so this system can really detect if a fight is going on without recording. And if we combine that with the next slide, this is sound, analysis of the sound without interfering on privacy issues. Yeah, make the next slide, please. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Start. You can start the film. This is by vNotion. This is video analytics. First, they make dots out of the picture. On the right side, you can see the dots, and the persons on the left side, you see the dots only. And there you see the same four people acting in a way that oh, it's going very fast. Acting in a way that's not normal, and this is the same as the sound, but then with video. So combining the video and the audio, you will have a perfect view of what's happening on that one. Next slide, please. This is, yeah, you can start the film. This is also vNotion. This is recognizing cars, not by the number plates, the ANPR, automatic number plate recognition, but the outside of the car. So the system had to go to deep learning with hundreds and hundreds of images to learn which is a Volkswagen, which is a Peugeot, which color it has, if it's a 5-door or 3-door or whatever. So this is very useful for the police if we have a robbery and the only thing people know it's a black Mazda and nothing else. Then you can see if there are any black Mazdas in the area, yes or no. And then you could zoom in, as you are the police, to recognize the number plate. Or you can also see, and that's what happened when we tested out this system, we detected there were a lot of false number plates because the number plate didn't get on with the registered car. So on that way you can find out false number plates very easily. But now the crooks are even better, so they rip off the number plate from the same car, from the Peugeot, to put on a Peugeot. But then the color is another one, so you can also see at the color. Yes. Okay, next slide. And yeah, then we have to click on and go down a little bit. Yep. Yeah, and just go down on this one. A little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, there's a film. Yeah. Facial recognition. It's with sound. I don't know if people hear the sound. I don't hear it, so I will tell about this one. This is next software. We discovered this doing another European project called Protect, protecting public spaces. So this one does facial recognition in a way that you have a library of photos of people you want to recognize because they are missing persons or terrorists or whatever. So the software detects all faces, despite of hats or beards or from the side or the front. And then if it's not on the in the database, it will throw away all the information directly. And if it's on the database, then people have to get the people working at NAC will get a signal. Hey, this person looks like the person in the database. Is it all right? Yes or no? And then you can push the button to have action. And I must say they did demonstrations. You can find the video demonstration later on in the of the Protect, and they did a very good job in recognizing me, even when I wear a hat and a mouth cap for Corona, and there was light flickering and a lot of smoke. And I was supposed to be the missing person in a big crowd. And yes, they hit me time after time. All kind of different things to do. You could have a privacy about one if you use it in public space. So in the Stratumsein, we do not use facial recognition because it's an issue on the privacy. Next, please. Well, this is something completely different. This is for the system architects with us. If you want to combine all kind of data and bring out something, you need to have a good architecture. Now, Google and Amazon, etc., will bring you your smart city solutions if you want. But then you do not own the system. Then you do not own all the different items in it. You don't know where the data is going, etc. So the European Commission, I think 10 years ago, decided that there should be a European solution to handle data. And the solution is called FIWARE. I will give the information on FIWARE later on. Where to reach them, but FIWARE is the European way of local and national governments to handle their data. In the middle, you see the context broker, and that's always the question. On one side, you have data. On the other side, you have a question. And the data has to answer the question. You do that by putting in a good context broker, which makes chocolate out of the data, or coffee, as we say. If you have all kinds of different entrances of data, as you can see, big data processing, open data, sensor data, media streams, etc. And you need to combine it all together and present it on a dashboard, or make automatically decisions out of it. And this is very important to stay away from vendor lock-in. So of course you can call Google or Amazon to help you out. You will lose all the things that you want to have. Next slide, please. I call this the coffee machine. On top you have all different kinds of data. If it's green, it's public data, or data everybody can see. If it's yellow, then it's data which you can use as, let's say, a city officer or disaster management. And if it's red, it's police or military information you cannot use publicly. That's that's what I say, the coffee beans on top. Then in the Netherlands we are making it can also be sensors. In the Netherlands we are making a big data sensor list, location list, where everybody can see where sensors are, and if it's public information, you can get the information also out of it. So there's a big open data driven community in the Netherlands. Data, sometimes it will be processed by algorithms, let's say the AI or machine learning. And you also need to have a library list of what kind of processing you do on the data. If you put in garbage, you get out garbage. If you put in 95% sure data, you will have 95% conclusion out of it, not 100%. So algorithm library list, and then you have context brokers, and the context broker for police is a different one than for an event organizer or a city organizer. So And out of the context broker, you will present it on dashboards. They are different, the dashboards, and then you will have, out of the dashboards, you will have action. Can be automated, automated bridges or lights or whatever, or human interference. So in this example on the right, we have, in the green, we have sound. The system, the sensors pick out sound. And through the algorithm from Sorama, they can detect that that sound is a bang. And that goes to the police. Hey, we have a bang over there. It could be a robbery. The police then puts on extra CCTV to look at the place and then say, yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. It's a robbery. That comes on the dashboard of the police. And then they act and they send police to the spot. Then you will get your feedback loop on both sides. So this is what we call the coffee machine. You have the beans on top, and downstairs you will have your macchiato or espresso or whatever. Next slide, please. Well, this you can study as long as you want, but this is also FIWARE, the system architecture. In the Netherlands, we use this 4-tier model. Tier 1 down below is things, connections, glass fiber, LoRa, WAN networks, Wi-Fi, whatever. Tier 2 is the verticals, so raw data. Tier 3 is horizontals, to slice through all different kind of data which is available and bring it out on a visualization, and with end users in it, service apps, ecosystems. And tier 4 is the end user. That's most of the times it's about people living in your city or in your country. They want to have health and happiness. And of course, safety is one part of health and happiness. So we are doing all this stuff just to have health and happiness for all the people living. And if you take the 4 steps, you need all the 4 steps to be complete. And within them steps, you also, for exchange, and this is European accepted way of working. The MIMS are the next slide, please. We can put on the next slide. MIMS are minimal interoperability mechanisms, or on another way, it's a way of connecting all different data to each other. So data in the Netherlands could also be used in Poland, and data from Poland could be used in England, and whatever. That's the way to talk about. This one, we don't click on this one because then I have not going out of time. I'm going out of time now already. So you can click on it. FIWARE Foundation, to protect. You can see on the video for 22 minutes, and protect is really come close also to crowd management on a big scale and a big number of peoples. Next slide, and that will be the last one, I think. The Smart Society IoT Charter. This is the Association of Dutch Municipalities accepted this Smart IoT Charter as a good one for all the Netherlands. If companies want to work together with the municipalities, they have to agree to these 7 points. Privacy first, open data interfaces, open standards, share, modularity, support modularity. That's the biggest one to stay away from vendor lock-ins. Maintain security, accept social responsibilities. Okay, the next slide is the thank you slide. Yep. Yeah, okay. Well, to start with the last one, we made a lot of publicity about the Living Lab activities on local journals, local television, local radio, etc. And also having signs at the entrances of the street about you are being censored, and we had a QR code you could look at to see what we were doing. Also on the open data portal of the city of Eindhoven, of the municipality, you could see some data that we made from the Stratumsein about the loudness, about how many people were visiting Stratumsein, etc. Because with the counting cameras we can see how many people there are. But the visitors of the Stratumsein are very young, and most of them don't care about their privacy. That's a pity, because they all say, "Well, I have nothing to hide." But then, if you try to talk with them, what kind of misuse there could be from data, and that the data is not yours, but all big companies sell the data. Then they start to realize, but then they say, "Well, I will have a drink on the strand. That's nothing more." So on the Stratumsein, the visitors and the inhabitants of the city of Eindhoven didn't make a big point of it. But what was the side, politicians of the city, but also the national privacy authorities, they are really interested in what are you doing, in what way are you doing it, and what is the ethics behind looking at a public street. So that was the start in the Netherlands for the big discussion on privacy, data ownership, and ethics. Now all cities, most cities in the Netherlands, have an ethical commission to give guidelines on working with sensors and working with data. So that's yeah, not disaster management, but yeah, the smart cities coming on. So the government of the city, they were very interested in how it could work. We stopped the project some 1.5 years ago. It was finished on that street, and now we are trying to scale it up to the inner city to make a digital twin, and where we can turn on the knots to see what will happen if we have 10,000 more inhabitants in the city center. With the garbage and the sewer and water and health problems, etc., or 20,000 or 30,000. So it helped also installing intelligent lighting in the city center with new lantern poles, which can be adjusted for the time of day. If the sun is there, if it's cold outside, yes or no. If there are party time like King's Day, or if we have a champion, football champion, then we can make the city red and white. So yeah, that's coming on, and they are very pleased to have it.